Hey viewers, my name's Cara. I'm your host for Tuesdays here on the Pagan Perspective Collaborative channel. This week we are doing, actually all this month and all next month, we are doing throwback topics. These are topics that we have covered in the past on the collab from the first few years of the channel. Some of them we have covered again throughout the almost 9 years, but we haven't covered them in several years. I think the most recent time that we covered any of these that I noticed is 2015. While I'm on the subject, if you're wondering what we've covered in the past, we have a blog. It is paganperspectivecollab.blogspot.com, and there is an entry for every year that the collab has been in existence, and each entry has a list of all the topics that we've done those years, and it links to each of the videos that was done, and it tells you the name of the person who did it, and so you have a direct link right there. So if you go through every year and use your find function on your keyboard, I know on a non-Mac computer that's Control F, whatever it is, the instructions are in the top of every blog entry there. It tells you how to search something. So you can just search whatever the subject is and find anytime that year that we have talked about it. And you can do that for every year that we've been in existence. So that's what I did. I started at the very first year one and wrote down a list of 10 topics that I thought, oh, it's been a long time since we've covered that. We can cover it again. Or maybe the regular hosts had covered it years ago, so the subs are going to cover it this next upcoming time. I am the only remaining original member, so a lot of the older topics have not been covered by anyone else who's currently on the channel except me, and it's been long enough that I might have something different to say, or it's just worth a revisit anyway to see if I have anything new to say. So that's what we're doing for the next couple of months. If you have new topics to suggest, and like I always say, you can check to see if we've already done that topic multiple times by looking at the blog, or by searching our channel uploads for a keyword to see if we've done it before, so you can see all the things that we've done. We don't like to do things again that we have just recently covered, but I always keep things in mind to visit again when enough time has passed, like right now. So I went back and got some throwback topics, so that's what we're doing. This week, specifically, we are covering the topic of ritual wear, meaning what do we wear when we do ritual? What are we wearing? So ritual attire, and also the concept of working skyclad, which is a fancy name for being clothed in nothing but the sky, which is a colloquialism for working naked, nude, not wearing any clothing. So ritual attire versus working skyclad, or not versus, but just both of those things as topics. What do we wear in our rituals? What are our views on ceremonial attire? Meaning maybe it's something fancy that you have for specific rituals, or maybe it's just something special that you set aside. Maybe it's not particularly fancy, maybe it's casual, but it's something that you reserve for ritual or for special events and things like that. Or what are our views on working skyclad, pros and cons of each, meaning that we think each could bring, etc. So, in my rituals, I typically wear whatever the heck I'm wearing at the time. So, like if I were going to do a ritual today, I'm just wearing a regular top and yoga pants. I think I just stepped on my cat's tail and she didn't even make noise. I'm sorry. It's like she knows you're listening. She didn't make a sound. Anyway, and yoga pants. So, if I were just going to do a ritual right now, I would just do a ritual right now wearing this. I do have some fancier garments that I typically only wear at like pagan pride events or to medieval fair. Like those are my big garb moments, is when I'm presenting somewhere, when I'm going to a pagan event. And of course I have things that I wear around Halloween specifically. So I definitely I love Halloween. I'm a witch who loves Halloween. And of course also Samhain is one of my favorite Sabbats. And I don't consider them exactly the same thing, but I do love Halloween and I love celebrating that and bringing those things into it. And I know not everyone does. They think that it kind of takes away from the seriousness of Samhain. I don't at all. I bring it together. I make it work. So I love when I attend a Samhain ritual that is taking place on Samhain, on Halloween, especially if it happens to correspond with a neighborhood trick-or-treat. I love to actually get all dressed up in my full-on witchy costume garb, because nobody thinks anything of it when you're walking through the neighborhood on your way to the ritual bonfire or whatever, fully decked out like a witch, because it's Halloween and a lot of people are walking around dressed like us. So yeah, super fun. So I like to dress up. I like to do stuff like that. But I do not think that it is necessary to always wear something fancy in rituals, if it's just, you know, come as you are kind of situation. As for Skyclad, I've talked about this before. I have done Skyclad myself in personal rituals, and I have nothing particularly against it if it is with a group that has clear set boundaries and policies around recognizing that consent is important and personal boundaries are important and respect is important. So there are like public events where clothing is optional that I might not feel as comfortable working Skyclad with people in public events, because maybe I don't know them, I don't know what their intentions are. But if it's a small group where everybody knows the intent and it's a mutual decision that everyone is comfortable with, I don't have a problem with it. However, I am a freeze baby, so when it comes to like working outside, I am definitely a fan of at least having a cloak on, something like that, so that it's practical. So for me, it's practical, right? So we talk about if you have these fancy costumes, and I literally have a fancy costume. It's literally a Halloween costume that I've had for years, that it is a priestess costume, and it has this beautiful like deep hood, long flowing sleeves, right? So this is the stereotype that we talk about. That stuff is so cool and it's so like aesthetic, but it's not practical, especially if you're doing like a candle burning ritual or something, and you try to roll those sleeves up and they're getting all over the place. You have to like tie them up with a hair tie and get them out of the way. And then it's like, why did you bother wearing this fancy thing if it's not practical? It's gonna get in your way. So if it's like long and you're tripping on it and your hood falls forward and you can't see, you know, all of that. However, I did wear that costume for the Samhain ritual that I led this past Samhain for myself and my partner at home, and I just knew in advance that I was going to wear that outfit, so I made sure that I wasn't going to have to be leaning over any candles or anything like that. So I took my general safety precautions around the fact that I knew I was going to be wearing that outfit. So we can make it work. Yeah, so pros and cons of each. Okay, so the mythos around working Skyclad, right? That I don't know if we know for sure that this definitely happened historically. I wasn't there, or maybe I was there, but I don't necessarily remember. And we'll talk about past lives another time. But anyway, the sort of myth around it, the story around it is that the reason that's, holding on to this marker, I just realized, the reason that people worked Skyclad was, it was this idea that you could have a member of the royal family and like a member of the merchant class and a peasant, right? And they could all be, their paths would never cross in real life, right? This is a very romanticized European kind of medieval time thing. But the idea would be like all three of those people, they live very different lives, they're very different social classes, they wear very different things based on how much money they have. But they might all be in the same coven together, where nobody in these covens knows who anyone else is, because they all arrive naked, Skyclad, not wearing the chains of their office, not wearing fancy velvet versus worsted versus rags, right? So you can't tell by looking at them what their social class is or how wealthy they are, how much influence they have in society, and they would all troop off to the woods to some secret location where nobody else knows where they are. And so it was this equalizing factor, right? And we talk about the circle as being the great equalizer. Everyone within the circle is equal. No one is standing forward from anyone else. No one is behind anyone else. We're all at an equal distance from the center. We all have an equal opportunity to experience the divine in this space together, or if not, the divine, if your path isn't about the divine, experiencing whatever power it is important to you that you're there to experience, or to just have whatever experience you're there to experience, right? Everybody's equal. And so it was this idea that if you're not wearing anything, you can't judge each other based on how much your outfit cost, you know? And so I do love that idea. Today, I don't feel like that's as important, obviously. We're not all living in feudal society. So again, that's kind of like a romanticized mythological idea of the story of where it came from, maybe. Again, I don't know if that's historical fact. But now, I feel like if my friends and I get together, there is an understanding that we're all on an equal footing already. So we can all come in whatever we're wearing, and it doesn't matter that, you know, somebody else maybe bought a $300 cloak from a Renaissance garb supplier company, and somebody else made their cloak out of, you know, bargain clearance fabric from the craft store and hand sewed it and maybe spent $10 on it overall, right? They could both look amazing. And the point is to kind of wear whatever it is that's going to make you feel special and make you feel like you're here to do work that is maybe separate from your mundane life, maybe separate from your busy, hectic, crazy life, that you're taking a step out of that and you're stepping into sacred space, you're stepping into a part of you that you maybe don't get to experience all of the time. So yeah, so part of the argument for not wearing something different is for those who are really looking to integrate it with your everyday life, that you don't really want to feel like there's a boundary. So maybe sometimes you might be like, all right, life's crazy, I've had a crazy day, I've had a crazy time, I really want to step out of that and I want to be fully immersed in this magic. And so maybe changing into a very special outfit, whether it's fancy, whether it's a costume or not, maybe it's just a dress you have in your closet that you only wear on special occasions, and when you put it on, you know it's a special occasion, right? Maybe it's something like that. So sometimes you might want to do that. You might want to dress up for the occasion. I dress up when I go to the theater, you know, anything. You dress up for a nice dinner as opposed to everyday family dinner, you know? It's a special occasion to you. Versus there might be some days where you really just want to feel like you can seamlessly move from your everyday life. You know, I just got back from the grocery store and I could sit and do a ritual right now and I'm wearing the same clothes. It's just part of my daily life. And right after that, I can come out of ritual and go immediately and go outside and say hi to my neighbors, you know, wearing the same thing. So that would be a pro for someone maybe who doesn't want to wear something special. My biggest con for working Skyclad is, again, if it's cold, if it's really cold, if it's not practical, if I'm in a space where I would not feel comfortable not wearing clothing. So there's a lot of factors in that. And something else that we always talk about is when you work Skyclad, do you wear glasses or not? And my answer for that is yes, if I need to be able to see far away for the ritual, because I'm nearsighted. So if I take off my glasses, I can read my phone screen in front of me. It's only a couple feet in front of me. I can read it perfectly fine. Everything's sitting on my desk in front of me. I can see clearly. I can read clearly. I can see everything in this room. I won't run into anything. I can act in a play or in a musical without my glasses, without wearing any corrective lenses, because I can see everything on the stage. I won't run into people. I won't run into furniture. I won't fall off the edge of the stage, right? But I can't read something far away. So if I had this note paper, whatever, I don't have anything in front of me. If I had a piece of paper here that I could read and I stuck it to that wall across the room, I wouldn't be able to read it from here. So for me, if I need to be able to see clearly, and if I know I'm going to be able, if I'm going to have to need to read something far away, then I'll wear my glasses. If not, I won't. And I also won't wear jewelry or anything. Some people might choose to not wear clothing, but still have their special ritual jewelry or symbolism and stuff like that, and that's fine too. So there's lots of in-between ways that we can do whatever works for us, whatever has meaning for us. So, yeah. those are my thoughts. You guys have probably seen a lot of my fancier stuff because it's in pictures and videos from, like I said, when I go to medieval fair or when I go to pagan pride, I usually wear like fancier dresses that I don't often wear elsewhere. But they are kind of everyday clothing, most of them, so like sometimes I'll wear it another time, but mostly I don't. Mostly I reserve it for those types of things. So yeah, what do you wear when you do ritual? And what are your qualifications? How do you decide what you're gonna wear when? What is a special dress-up occasion, path work-wise, for you versus casual, versus maybe working Skyclad, whatever? How do you determine what you will wear in different rituals? Let us know in the comments. I'll see you next week. Until then, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.